I never thought my life as a single mom could change in a single heartbeat. One ordinary afternoon, I walked into my living room and froze. There was a man, a complete stranger, gently cradling my baby in his arms, feeding her as if she were his own. My chest tightened, torn between fear, anger, and something I couldn't explain. But what shook me most wasn't just his presence. It was the truth I would soon uncover about who he really was. Could one stranger rewrite the story of my broken heart? Being a single mom was never part of the life I had pictured for myself. I had once dreamed of a partner who would stand beside me, of late night whispers, shared burdens, and building a future hand in hand. Instead, I found myself juggling sleepless nights, bills stacked on the counter, and the aching silence of a house where laughter from another adult never echoed. I loved my baby more than anything in the world. She was my strength, my reason to keep going when everything else felt like it was falling apart. But some nights, when exhaustion pressed too heavily on my chest, I caught myself wondering if anyone would ever love me again. Not just me, but the fragile little family I had become. Still, I hid those thoughts. To the outside world, I played the strong woman, the mother who had it all together. But inside, loneliness whispered in ways I couldn't silence. I told myself love was something I no longer needed, that survival, not romance, was my reality now. That's why the day I came home to find a man in my living room felt so impossible, so out of place. It was as though life had cracked open a door I'd long ago shut tight. And yet, behind that door waited not just comfort or kindness, but secrets I never imagined. Secrets that would challenge everything I thought I knew about trust, love, and second chances. When I first saw him, he looked so out of place in my small, worn-down apartment. His suit was perfectly pressed, his watch gleamed faintly in the light, and his calm, assured presence contrasted against the chaos of scattered toys and half-folded laundry. And there he was holding a bottle, feeding my daughter as if he had always belonged there. My first instinct was fear. Who is this stranger? Why was he touching my child? But the look in his eyes, gentle, steady, protective, disarmed me in a way that felt both alarming and comforting. I wanted to demand answers, yet something in me hesitated. My daughter, usually restless with anyone new, was calm in his arms, her tiny fingers curled around his. The hours after that moment blurred. He introduced himself simply, offering no explanation that satisfied me. And yet, instead of calling the police or throwing him out, I found myself listening. His voice carried a warmth I hadn't heard in years, a kind of quiet strength that made me realize how starved I was for human connection. But then the questions came crashing in. Who was this man? Why did he look at me with such familiarity, as if he already knew my struggles, my pain, my heart? I tried to push him away, telling myself I couldn't afford to trust someone who appeared out of nowhere. But every time he showed up, with groceries in hand or offering to fix something in my apartment, my resolve cracked a little more. And then I discovered the truth I hadn't expected. He wasn't just any man. He was a billionaire, a man whose world was built on wealth, power, and privilege, while mine was built on survival and sacrifice. I told myself it was impossible. A single mom like me could never belong in his world, no matter how kind his smile was, no matter how my heart leapt when he lingered a moment too long at my door. But he didn't stop. He didn't seem to care about the barriers I placed between us. And that terrified me more than anything, because I was beginning to care too. The more he showed up, the harder it became to fight the feelings I'd buried. But in the back of my mind, a whisper haunted me. Men like him didn't stay. They didn't fall for women like me. And yet, each time his hand brushed against mine, each time his gaze lingered just a second too long, I wondered, what if he was different? What if this was the second chance I thought I'd never deserve? But second chances always come at a price, and deep down, I knew this one might break me. The night it happened is burned into my memory like fire on skin. I had just put my daughter to sleep when he knocked on my door, his usually composed face etched with something raw, almost desperate. My heart pounded before I even opened it. I told myself not to expect anything, not to fall for a man who couldn't possibly belong in my world. But when our eyes met, the air between us shifted. He stepped inside, and suddenly it felt like the walls of my tiny apartment couldn't contain the weight of what was about to happen. "I can't stay away from you," he whispered, his voice trembling not with weakness, but with a kind of vulnerability I never thought a man like him could have. My breath caught. Every part of me screamed to run, to protect myself. And yet my body leaned closer, my soul aching for something I had denied myself for so long: love, touch, belonging. His hand brushed my cheek, and in that moment, I was both terrified and alive in a way I hadn't felt in years. It wasn't just about attraction. It was about two broken pieces recognizing each other, fitting in a way that felt inevitable, but then reality struck me like a knife. What if this was temporary? What if he left and shattered not just me, but my daughter too? I wanted him with every fiber of my being, yet fear chained me down. And then he kissed me. It was slow at first, hesitant, as though asking permission. But when I let go, it deepened, hungry, desperate, beautiful. Tears burned my eyes because for the first time, I tasted both love and heartbreak in the same breath. And just as I allowed myself to believe, he pulled back. His next words sent a cold shiver through me. "There's something you don't know, something that could change everything." When I think back to that day, the moment I found him feeding my baby, I realize it wasn't just chance. It was a reminder that even in the middle of loneliness and broken trust, life can place someone in your path who makes you believe again. I didn't fall into his arms that night, nor did I let myself dream of fairy tales. But I felt something I hadn't felt in a long time: hope. Hope that maybe love didn't always have to hurt. Hope that maybe two broken souls, both carrying scars, both raising children alone, could build something stronger together. The future isn't written yet, but as I watched him wave goodbye with that quiet smile that reached his eyes, a thought stayed with me. Maybe this isn't the end of my story. Maybe it's the beginning of a new one. And I can't help but wonder, what if the love we fear the most is the love that finally saves us?